Good evening, George Will here. Breaking news tonight. Federal investigators have uncovered evidence that Meghan Markle orchestrated a sophisticated deepfake operation to fabricate charitable donations that never existed, manufacturing digital evidence of philanthropic work to deceive donors, media outlets, and tax authorities. This investigation reveals not merely exaggeration or creative marketing, but rather systematic fraud using artificial intelligence technology to create false documentation of charitable activities that generated millions in tax deductions while no actual charitable work occurred. Tonight, we present the documents, the forensic analysis, and the testimony proving this scheme, and we explain why this represents the most technologically sophisticated celebrity fraud case in American legal history. The evidence we are examining tonight comes from three independent investigative streams that converge on the same disturbing conclusion. First, forensic digital analysis conducted by Authenticate AI, a firm specializing in detecting synthetic media, examined over 200 images and videos published by Archewell Foundation between 2021 and 2024 and determined that 47% showed signs of artificial intelligence manipulation inconsistent with authentic photography. Second, whistleblower testimony from three former Archewell staff members who signed sworn declarations describe internal communications discussing the creation of fabricated charity documentation to satisfy donor expectations and regulatory requirements. Third, financial records obtained through discovery and ongoing civil litigation demonstrate that claimed charitable expenditures totaling $8.7 million cannot be traced to any actual charitable recipients, service providers, or program expenses, suggesting the documented activities never occurred. This investigation matters because it represents the intersection of emerging technology and traditional fraud in ways that legal systems are only beginning to address. Deepfake technology, which uses artificial intelligence to create realistic but entirely fabricated images, videos, and audio recordings, has primarily been discussed in contexts of political disinformation or non consensual intimate imagery. What Meghan Markle allegedly pioneered was the application of this technology to charitable fraud, using AI generated content to create the appearance of philanthropic work that would justify tax deductions, attract donor contributions, and build public reputation while avoiding the actual expense and effort of conducting legitimate charitable programs. If these allegations are proven, they establish precedent that will reshape how prosecutors and regulators approach technology enabled fraud across the nonprofit sector. Before we proceed further, I need to ask you to take one action right now. What you are about to hear is not being reported anywhere else in mainstream media. The documents we have obtained, the analysis we have commissioned, and the legal framework we will explain represent months of investigative work examining evidence that powerful interests would prefer remain hidden. If you value independent journalism that holds the wealthy and connected accountable regardless of their public relations machinery, you need to subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell right now. This investigation will continue developing in real time as additional evidence emerges and legal proceedings advance, and you will not want to miss what comes next. Subscribe now because this story is just beginning. Now let us establish exactly how we know this scheme occurred and why the evidence cannot be dismissed as speculation or misunderstanding. The foundation of this investigation rests on forensic digital analysis that detected artificial intelligence manipulation in charity documentation published by Archewell Foundation. Authenticate AI, a Los Angeles-based firm founded by former Department of Defense digital forensics specialists, examined 237 images and videos that Archewell published between January 2021 and October 2024, depicting charitable activities, donor interactions, and program operations. The firm's proprietary analysis software detected AI manipulation indicators in 109 of these items, representing 47% of all examined media. The technical markers that identify AI-generated content include pixel-level inconsistencies, where algorithms struggle to maintain perfect resolution across synthetic and authentic elements, metadata anomalies, where digital fingerprints reveal processing through AI generation platforms rather than direct camera capture, lighting and shadow irregularities, where artificial intelligence cannot perfectly replicate physics of natural illumination, and biometric pattern recognition showing facial features and hand positions that violate human anatomical constraints. Authenticate AI documented all four categories of markers in the Archewell content, and their 200-page technical report provides frame-by-frame analysis of the most egregious examples. Beyond the technical forensics, we have testimony from three former Archewell Foundation staff members who worked in the organization's media and communications department between 2021 and 2023. These individuals, whose identities remain protected under whistleblower confidentiality protocols but whose employment has been independently verified through payroll records and identification documentation, provided sworn declarations to attorneys representing donors who are pursuing civil fraud claims. The declarations describe internal meetings where Meghan Markle directed staff to create charity event documentation for activities that never occurred, specifically instructing staff to use AI generation tools to fabricate images showing foundation representatives distributing supplies, meeting with recipients, or conducting program activities at locations the foundation never actually visited. One particularly detailed declaration describes a February 2022 incident where Meghan directed staff to create documentation of a supposed winter coat distribution program in Detroit, Michigan. According to the whistleblower, no such program existed and no staff traveled to Detroit during the relevant time frame. However, Archewell published images on its website and social media showing individuals in Archewell-branded clothing distributing winter coats to families in what appeared to be Detroit neighborhoods identifiable by architectural features and street signage. The whistleblower states that these images were created using AI generation software, with staff members' faces digitally inserted into fabricated scenes and Detroit backgrounds selected from stock image databases. The Post claimed the foundation had distributed over 5,000 coats valued at $325,000, expenditures that cannot be located in any financial records or supported by any supplier invoices, shipping documentation, or recipient testimonials. The third evidentiary stream consists of financial analysis conducted by forensic accountants at Kroll Associates, a global investigation firm specializing in fraud detection and asset tracing. Kroll examined 4 years of Archewell Foundation financial records, including bank statements, general ledgers, expense reports, and tax filings, comparing claimed charitable expenditures against traceable payments to vendors, service providers, or charitable recipients. The analysis identified $8.7 million in claimed program expenses that cannot be substantiated with any supporting documentation showing actual payments to third parties or purchases of goods and services. For example, the foundation claimed $475,000 in expenses for a women's entrepreneurship program in Rwanda, but Kroll could locate no wire transfers to Rwanda, no payments to Rwandan vendors or organizations, no travel expenses for staff visiting Rwanda, and no communications with Rwandan partners or participants. These three independent investigative streams converge on an inescapable conclusion. Archewell Foundation published false documentation of charitable activities that never occurred, using artificial intelligence technology to fabricate evidence while claiming tax deductions and soliciting donor contributions based on the fabricated track record. This is not a matter of exaggeration or subjective interpretation of program impact. This is systematic fraud using cutting-edge technology to deceive donors, regulators, and the public about the actual operation of a tax-exempt charitable organization. Before we examine the specific categories of fabricated charitable work, we must address the key players in this scheme and their respective roles. Meghan Markle serves as co-founder and public face of Archewell Foundation, holding the title of director and exercising operational control over foundation activities according to governance documents and staff testimony. Prince Harry serves as co-founder and nominal co-director, though staff testimony indicates he rarely participated in operational decisions and functioned primarily as public relations asset for donor cultivation. The foundation employed between 7 and 12 staff members during the relevant period, with 3 now cooperating with investigators after signing non-prosecution agreements in exchange for truthful testimony. The Foundation's board of directors included 5 members, all personally selected by Meghan and Harry, who met only quarterly and, according to testimony, rubber-stamped management decisions without conducting independent oversight or financial review. Now we turn to comprehensive examination of the evidence showing exactly which charitable programs were fabricated, how the deepfake content was created and deployed, and what this reveals about the systematic nature of the fraud scheme. The evidence divides into 8 major categories, each representing a distinct area of fabricated charitable work. We will examine each category in detail, presenting specific examples and explaining how investigators determined the documented activities never occurred. The first category is international aid and disaster relief. Archewell Foundation claimed to have conducted emergency response programs in Afghanistan following the 2021 withdrawal, in Pakistan following catastrophic flooding in 2022, in Turkey following devastating earthquakes in 2023, and in Morocco after seismic events in late 2023. The foundation published images and videos showing Archewell representatives delivering medical supplies, distributing emergency shelter materials, and coordinating with local relief organizations. However, forensic analysis revealed that all such documentation showed signs of AI manipulation, and financial records contain no evidence of expenditures for international shipping, travel to these regions, or payments to relief organizations operating in these countries. The foundation claimed total expenditures of $2.3 million across these international relief efforts, yet Kroll Associates could not trace a single dollar to any vendor, carrier, or organization that would have been necessary to conduct such programs. The Afghanistan program alone supposedly spent $650,000, yet there are no wire transfers to Afghanistan or neighboring countries, no customs documentation for shipped supplies, no travel records for staff visiting the region, and no communications with any Afghan organizations or officials. The second category is domestic education programming. Archewell claimed to operate tutoring and mentorship programs in Los Angeles, Oakland, and Chicago, serving over 800 students from 2021 through 2024. The foundation published numerous images showing tutoring sessions, student workshops, and mentor meetings in classroom and community center settings. Forensic analysis determined that 73% of these images showed AI manipulation markers, particularly in facial features of supposed students and backgrounds depicting educational facilities. Investigators contacted the specific schools and community centers that Archewell identified as program partners and discovered that none had any record of partnership arrangements, none had hosted Archewell staff or programs, and none had received any financial support from the foundation. The foundation claimed program expenses of $1.4 million, including instructor salaries, facility rental, materials, and administrative costs, yet financial analysis could locate no payroll payments to tutors, no facility rental payments, no materials purchases from educational suppliers, and no administrative expenditures that would support such programming. The claimed 800 students served translates to $1,750 per student in supposed expenses, yet not a single family has come forward to verify their child participated in Archewell education programs, despite extensive media coverage that should have generated recognition among actual participants. The third category is women's economic empowerment initiatives. This represented Archewell's signature program area and received the most public attention and donor support. The foundation claimed to operate entrepreneurship training programs in Rwanda, India, and Mexico, providing business skills instruction, seed capital grants, and ongoing mentorship to over 300 women entrepreneurs. The published documentation included extensive photo and video content showing Meghan personally conducting training sessions, meeting with program participants, and celebrating business launches. However, the forensic analysis revealed that 100% of Meghan's supposed on-site presence in these countries consisted of AI-generated or digitally manipulated content. Facial recognition analysis determined that Meghan's face was digitally inserted into background scenes filmed at the claimed locations, but she was never physically present. The foundation claimed total program expenditures of $3.9 million, the largest single program area in its budget. Yet Kroll Associates found no evidence of payments to training facilities in any of these countries, no grants or capital distributions to entrepreneurs, no travel expenses for staff visiting these locations, no contracts with local partner organizations, and no communications with government officials or business leaders who would be natural collaborators for such initiatives. Most damningly, investigators attempted to contact the specific women entrepreneurs whose stories and businesses were featured in Archewell promotional materials and discovered that none existed. The businesses identified had never been registered, The physical addresses provided belong to unrelated enterprises, and the names given match no individuals in local business registries or social media profiles. The fourth category is mental health and wellness programming. Archewell heavily promoted its commitment to mental health advocacy, claiming to operate peer support groups, crisis counseling services, and wellness workshops in multiple cities. The Foundation published content showing group sessions, counseling interactions, and wellness activities, always careful to obscure faces for privacy reasons, which conveniently made deepfake detection more difficult since faces represent the most analyzed elements in synthetic media detection. The Foundation claimed expenditures of $920,000 for mental health programming, including licensed counselor salaries, facility costs, and materials. Financial analysis revealed no payments to licensed mental health professionals, no facility rental agreements, no insurance coverage that would be legally required for providing mental health services, and no compliance with state licensing requirements for mental health service provision. California law requires any organization providing mental health counseling to maintain specific insurance, employ licensed professionals who report to state oversight boards, and submit to periodic regulatory review. Archewell did none of these things because Archewell was not actually providing mental health services despite claiming to do so in marketing materials and tax filings. The fifth category is environmental and sustainability programming. The Foundation claimed to have planted over 100,000 trees across California, Oregon, and Washington through reforestation partnerships with environmental organizations. Published content showed volunteers in Archewell branded clothing conducting planting activities in forest settings across multiple seasons. Forensic analysis identified AI manipulation in these images, particularly in the repetitive nature of volunteer appearances, suggesting the same base images were recycled with minor alterations. Investigators contacted the land management agencies and environmental groups that Archewell identified as partners and discovered that none had any records of partnership arrangements or tree planting activities conducted with Archewell support. The Foundation claimed expenditures of $540,000 for tree purchases, planting labor, and site preparation. Financial records contain no payments to nurseries or tree suppliers, no payments to environmental organizations or reforestation contractors, no equipment rental for site preparation, and no travel expenses for staff overseeing these supposed planting activities. Environmental advocates in the Pacific Northwest, when shown Archewell's claims about reforestation work, expressed outrage that their legitimate efforts were being exploited by fabricated claims that risked undermining public trust in genuine environmental programming. The sixth category is food security and nutrition programs. Archewell claimed to operate community kitchens and food distribution programs in Los Angeles and surrounding areas, serving over 15,000 meals annually to food insecure families. Published images showed volunteers preparing meals, packing food boxes, and distributing supplies to recipients. The Foundation claimed program expenses of $610,000, including food purchases, kitchen facility costs, transportation, and volunteer coordination. Investigation revealed that the commercial kitchen facilities Archewell claimed to use had no records of Archewell rental or usage. Food suppliers and grocery wholesalers had no records of sales to Archewell or delivery to any facilities associated with the Foundation, and recipients supposedly served could not be located or verified. Most tellingly, Los Angeles County maintains a registry of food distribution programs for coordination and public health oversight purposes. Archewell never registered with this system and never appeared in any county records of food security programming despite claiming to serve thousands.